Why everyone underestimated Florence Pugh and she took over Hollywood. What if I told you that one of Hollywood's most powerful rising stars was once dismissed as too plain, too unconventional, and even not right for screen? Sounds ridiculous, right? But those were the early opinions surrounding Florence Pugh, a name that now headlines global blockbusters, dominates red carpets, and commands respect from Oscar-winning directors. The shocking part? Florence didn't just prove them wrong. She obliterated every stereotype thrown at her. From indie heartbreakers to Marvel action epics, this British actress didn't just rise, she stormed Hollywood. And if you think it was an overnight success, think again. This story is a blueprint for anyone who's ever been told they're not enough, and turned it into their biggest weapon. Let's break down how Florence Pugh went from underestimated outsider to unstoppable force. A debut that didn't go as planned. Florence Pugh made her screen debut in The Falling in 2014. It was a haunting, quiet film, one that critics appreciated but the industry barely noticed. She played a mysterious schoolgirl, and even then, her performance had something magnetic. But behind the scenes, the feedback she received wasn't flattering. In her own words, early executives told her to change her appearance, her face, her body, even her voice. Imagine being told you have to erase your uniqueness just to be accepted. It's a brutal, dehumanizing demand, and Florence rejected it outright. She walked away from the next job and didn't return until she found roles that embraced her as she was. That's not just brave, that's revolutionary in an industry obsessed with image. And right there, she made her first bold statement. I will not change to fit you, you'll adjust to me. Lady Macbeth. Then came 2016, and Lady Macbeth. No, not the Shakespeare one, but a reimagined period thriller that put Florence Pugh at the center of a bold, morally ambiguous, and unforgettable performance. She played Catherine, a woman suffocating in Victorian oppression, who unravels into something terrifying and tragic. It wasn't a role that made her likable, it made her unignorable. But here's the risk: playing cold, manipulative characters can box you in. It's easy for the industry to typecast or reject actors who don't play safe. But Florence's talent cut through. She was chilling, raw, and magnetic. Hollywood's sudden realization. After Lady Macbeth, Florence's phone started ringing, but not with the predictable parts. She didn't say yes to the pretty girlfriend roles or the sidekick scripts. Instead, she leaned into complex women. In Outlaw King, she played an emotionally torn queen. In The Little Drummer Girl, she was a spy immersed in psychological warfare. These weren't easy, polished parts. They were gritty, layered, and mentally exhausting. And here's the real challenge. Playing these kinds of characters doesn't always make you popular in Hollywood. They aren't shiny. They don't make headlines. But Florence didn't want fame. She wanted respect. By the time she was cast in Fighting with My Family, she had built a resume of fierce, intelligent, emotionally grounded women. And everyone started realizing she's not like the others. She's better. Midsummer. Now let's talk about the film that made audiences whisper, "Who is this actress?" Midsummer. Released in 2019, it was a sun-drenched nightmare that pushed Florence into a whole new stratosphere of performance. She played Dani, a grieving woman spiraling inside a cult's floral nightmare. And it was harrowing. But here's the kicker. Horror isn't always taken seriously. Even brilliant performances can be brushed off because the genre is seen as lowbrow. Florence didn't just elevate Midsummer, she gave it soul. She turned screams into heartbreak. And more importantly, she did it without vanity. No makeup, no glam. Just raw emotion. And that's why the industry couldn't look away. When you're that good, they have no choice but to respect you. Little Women. And just when everyone was trying to pin her down as the horror girl, she flipped the script. Literally. In Little Women, she played Amy March, a character that's often hated and misunderstood, and turned her into the emotional heart of the film. She was funny, sharp, tragic, and human. You felt for Amy. The result? An Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, the same critics who once dismissed Florence were calling her one of the finest actresses of her generation. She didn't just win over audiences, she redefined a character that had been written off for decades. This was the industry's moment of reckoning. They couldn't call her lucky anymore. She was undeniable. Marvel moves. Then came Black Widow. When Florence was cast as Yelena Belova, the Marvel fandom raised their eyebrows. A dramatic actress in the MCU? But she didn't just fit in, she stole the movie. Her deadpan humor, her brutal honesty, her grounded grief, all wrapped in a Russian accent that somehow made people cry and laugh at the same time. This was a risky move. Actors often lose critical respect when they go mainstream. But Florence didn't compromise. She elevated the material, bringing nuance to a genre that's often dismissed. And the best part? Audiences loved her. Memes, edits, tributes, you name it. She became the heart of the next MCU phase without even trying. Lesson? You don't need to play small to stay serious. Red carpet rule. Breaker. Florence Pugh isn't just making waves on screen. She's shaking up fashion. Whether she's wearing a sheer Valentino gown or rocking bold colors, others wouldn't dare touch. She's rewriting red carpet rules. She's been criticized, scrutinized, and sexualized. And every single time she claps back with elegance and defiance. And that's powerful. In an industry that often controls how women should look, Florence takes ownership. She dresses for herself. She laughs at the hate and turns it into style statements. That kind of confidence? It's not just fashion, it's feminism. She's not asking for approval, she's making space. Dealing with drama. Then came Don't Worry, Darling, a film that generated more drama off-screen than on. The headlines were everywhere. Tensions with the director, relationship gossip, red carpet silence. In the middle of all that chaos, Florence, walking with her head held high, giving one of the strongest performances of the year. This was a defining moment. She didn't fight fire with fire. She let her work speak louder than the noise. While the tabloids spiraled, Florence stayed composed, and that silence was louder than any tweet. In a world obsessed with online conflict, that level of grace is revolutionary. Sometimes the most powerful response is none at all. The secret weapon. So what's Florence Pugh's secret? Why does every performance hit so hard? It's emotional honesty. She doesn't play roles, she lives them. Every cry, every laugh, every breakdown, it feels real because it is real. She once said she refuses to cry on screen unless she truly feels it. That's rare. And that's why audiences connect with her. She doesn't try to be perfect. She's flawed, messy, and painfully human. And in an industry full of filters and facades, that vulnerability is her superpower. She invites us in. And once you're in, you never forget her. The Florence Formula. If this story moved you, inspired you, or made you rethink what it means to truly own your path, hit that like button. Drop a comment and tell us your favorite Florence Pugh moment. And subscribe for more deep dives into the legends rewriting Hollywood on their own terms. Because stories like this, they deserve to be heard. They deserve to be